I had a very interesting 2 weeks, and stuff has been happening that I've preferred to keep private, and I haven't been blogging about it. But I suppose it all came to a head today. It all came together today because today I had actually booked tickets to be in Walsingham, and there was a men's pilgrimage, Catholic Men UK and Ireland's pilgrimage to Walsingham, and I've never been there, and I had booked over to go over there. Mark McLean, many will remember, we've done a few interviews together. We had planned to to drive over from Birmingham to Walsingham, and I was looking forward to it. But I suppose things didn't turn out the way I had planned, and that's really life. Because 2 weeks ago, nearly 2 weeks ago now, my mother-in-law died, and for people that know me, my wife is Polish, so the news came late Tuesday evening, and there was a scramble for us to get flights. My daughter, Ellen, my eldest daughter, was down from Belfast, and she didn't have her passport with her. So I couldn't get her out to Poland. So my wife and my second daughter, Laura, they flew out to Poland. My son didn't have a passport. We'd actually gone to renew his passport the very evening that my mother-in-law died. And so I left Christopher at home with my mother, and I flew out, and Ellen flew out later on. So, organizing funerals, it things work differently in Poland as regards funerals and burials. And I just want to give a big thanks to the Franciscans in Kielce, who helped us with the funeral, and they were, we had it was a beautiful funeral in the church there. And so I didn't end up going to Walsingham today because I'm at home with just Christopher at the moment. And on Friday, somebody said to me, "Well, you should come up to Derry, Robert." And I said, "Well, look, I'll come up on Sunday." I said, "Yeah, there's the end of the Sister Clare Crockett retreat is on Sunday, and Bishop Donald is celebrating Mass. So come up to the Mass," which I did today. It worked out well for us. And I was just in the loft of this amazing church. For any of you who don't know the Long Tower Church, St. Columba's, it's really worth doing a pilgrimage to just that church. I mean, Derry is a stunning city, and that church in particular, St. Columba's Long Tower, is really one of the most beautiful churches that there are in Ireland. The high altar is there. They haven't renovated it after Second Vatican II. The statues are there. The side altars. You have a beautiful statue of the Sacred Heart and a stained glass window of the Sacred Heart, and you can appreciate the church from the choir loft area, which goes right around the church. Very, very, very beautiful. And for those of you who remember, we had momentous events last year after Medjugorje, which I'm still digesting, still trying to understand, well, what is going on. How did I land up in the middle of all of this? Well, all I can say is it's this great adventure of the faith after Medjugorje last year. So back in Long Tower today, at the Mass, and I was reading something on a blog in Ireland today about a certain man in Ireland who had taken or tried to take his life and ended up in ICU. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go into details about this man or what happened there, because it's not appropriate for me on a blog like mine to talk about specific people and circumstances that I don't know everything about. But it really impacted me to read about this man who had tried to take his life. It really, because if people will remember, after the adoration in Derry, in the Long Tower in Derry, after that, two men had come to me to say, look, I hadn't taken my life because you had organised that adoration in Derry, and the confessions there had helped so many men, the conversion. I said, I didn't organise anything. I didn't do anything. It's our Lord that does all of this. But I suppose it really hit home, the life and death consequences of living the faith. And I suppose in this video, I want to give a message directed at that man who tried to take his life. Because this could be a generic video for any of the men that are suffering. And obviously, we all know the statistics. Suicide, sadly, those who actually go through with it, are predominantly male men. And so this video is directed at that particular man who tried to take his life, who ended up in ICU with his family there. And I suppose I want to give a message of hope to this particular man. And I suppose I'm keeping this video generic. I'm not getting into details about him or where he is or the circumstances around his life and how he ended up there. But I suppose I just wanted to speak to him as a layman, somebody who the faith has encouraged me so much. I've been blessed that our Lord has given me so much encouragement, faith. He's put people in my lives. And like today, in moments when you just don't know where you're going to end up, and a text message, Robert, come up to Derry, and you say, yeah, I'll come up to Derry. I wasn't planning to be in Derry today. I wasn't planning to be in the Long Tower today. And I was just listening to the homily of Bishop Donal at Mass today, and he really hits the nail on the head, because there is a fire in Catholics in Derry. You really get it. There's a whole, and the teams, especially the Crucio team in there is something I can't explain going on there, and there's hope coming from this renewal of the faith in Ireland. But I want to focus now on how to view our lives in this different light. And I was thinking as I was driving home, what message could I give of hope? And I thought I'd be a little bit vulnerable here and speak of my own experience, because I find it hard sometimes to even speak of my own experience. But, there's many times in my life where there was a lot of confusion, a lot of doubt, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, depression, all sorts of stuff that I faced in my life. And there was one moment, obviously there was a big conversion when I was 18, but there was one moment in prayer where Christ came to me. He appears in front of me, and he touches my eyes as if touching my eyes and my forehead. I know, and people might say I'm a bit crazy to be saying these things in live video, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about my own prayer life. And I don't claim to be any saint, and people that know me well know I'm no saint. I'm the most broken man, the sinner, fallen, whatever you can imagine. That's who I am, and make no bones about it. So I'm not putting myself forward for any saint or any great mystic or anything like that. But when you ask Christ for something, when you ask Christ with a humble heart, with faith, Christ is abundant in his love for souls. He is super abundant in his love for souls. And, when Christ appeared in front of me, touching my eyes, it was as if he's saying, look, you were blind, Robert. And I said, I wasn't blind. No, you were blind. I was blind to the profound love of Christ's heart. To that, I wasn't taking enough time to meditate, to pray, to give myself to Christ, to allow myself to better understand his message. And something that was, really coming to me a lot in prayer as I drove home was, and I've already blogged about it because I will be reading this piece of gospel on Tuesday night at the men's prayer group in Carn Shrine, was Luke 15. Luke 15, the parable of the son who wasted his inheritance. And I just wanted to say something to this man that tried to take his life. Christ has a robe, a cloak, has a ring, and has shoes. He will dress you up anew in clothes that will restore your life. The world will dress you up in one way, but Christ completely transforms us, and he gives us a new dignity. Christ gives us a dignity that nobody in this world can give us. We are children of God. He said this after the resurrection. I ascend to my Father and your Father. And the faith is life and death consequences if we don't live it and if we don't pass it on. Christ didn't give us this gospel that we keep it to ourselves. It is for others. It is for you. And it doesn't matter how you've lived your life or what you've done. Today you have a new life in Christ, and he will dress you up like the prodigal son, like Luke chapter 15 verse 25. But the father said to his slaves, quickly bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And he will dress you up and bring you in to dine with him, to eat with him. He will give you a glass of wine, and he will restore your dignity as a child of God, his brother. You know, this is the amazing ability of Christ to transform lives. And he does this in prayer. I often wonder, why doesn't Christ do more in this world? He respects our freedom. We have to ask, we have to search for Christ. But if we always forget, sed tandem dic verbo et habitat anima mea, just say the word and my soul will be. It's just running to that to Christ. And it's very important as men in Ireland now that know the faith. We have to open doors to Christ's grace. We have to be there as leaders. So, you know, what I'm encouraging other Catholics, especially men now, is it's important to listen to other people. Sometimes people make mistakes and they act out like idiots and fools. What are they doing? You know, we shouldn't condemn people because they make mistakes. We should help them, support them, walk with them, listen to them, understand them, where they've been, what they've done, help them, and open the channels of grace to them. You know, if people understood the amazing encounter that is awaiting them with Christ's Sacred Heart, they would live differently. They would see life differently. And, you know, in many ways, it took me today standing in the Long Tower in Derry to remember, you know, there is a fire alit in Derry. It started last year, and there are many men that have seen this. We will return to the Long Tower this year to show Ireland that Catholic men will stand up for the faith, that there is hope. There is hope. You don't need to live in suffering and pain and anguish. Turn to Christ. Look at him, because he's holding out new clothes that he will dress you up with. He will restore your dignity as a beloved son of God, and he will bring you into fraternity with him. That's what Christ will do. And so I want to give this message of hope. This could be for anybody that's suffering from suicide or depression or anxiety. You know, turn to Christ. Turn to Christ. Turn to me. There's many men around Ireland that can help. If people will remember, after the Derry event, we had some talks in the Carmelite Centre in Termabacca, and we had Gary and Liam talking there. Liam Stewart and Gary from Belfast. You know, there are many men around Ireland that will spend time to help and listen and support. There are, you know, there's a wide network now of laymen around Ireland that are well able to help anybody that needs to be listened to, that needs help, you know. So, you know, this is just the message of encouragement to that particular man. You're a beloved child of God. God, Christ is there, and he will dress you anew and restore your dignity and transform your life. And it's an amazing time to be Catholic in Ireland. It really is. You know, I feel this, I see this. I just think something is happening where Christ is walking in places, and he's raising people. He's forming people in places that we would never expect. You know, travelers, gay men. You never know who Christ will fix his eye on, and who he will restore, and who he will raise up and, you know, set them alight. You just don't know. Drug addicts, cocaine addicts, every single type of a man you could imagine in Ireland, even those who've attempted suicide. He restores, he renews, he transforms, he dresses you anew, and he puts new dignity onto you. And this is the amazing, boundless love of Christ. It took me, you could read the Gospels thousands of times and you're still going to discover something new in them. You really will. Because it's this boundless love of Christ, this disinterested, this love that is impossible to describe. So just a video to that particular man to give him encouragement and to know that he is not alone, that there are people that will listen and won't judge you, that won't, think any less of you for whatever you've done or where you've been or what you've suffered, what you think you've done or what you think you are. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the past. Set the old man aside and dress anew in the clothes that the Father wants to give. And let our Lord transform. I mean, if I didn't believe that in the Christ that I've encountered, I wouldn't be talking to you about this. He is really just the most amazing God. It's simply amazing, and he asks us to speak of his love to others. The whole mission of anybody that loves the gospel is to bring people to Christ. Bring people to Christ. Bring people to Christ. Robert Nugent can change lives. Robert Nugent can do very, very little, to be honest. I'm very flawed, but I know Christ will, because he's done it with me. Why wouldn't he do it with other people? If we bring people to Christ, let Christ divinize you. Theosis. Let him change you. Let him change your heart. Let him transform you. We have a model there to restore ourselves as we look at Christ. Just look at him and imitate him and let him transform you. Don't look at the world. Look at Christ. So this is the encouragement that I want to give to that particular man. Don't want to go into details because, I don't know the details. So I've left it very generic here. But I think anybody looking at this video will probably understand who I'm talking about. Some people will. And I'm not here judging or wanting to make the situation worse. I'm just saying there is somebody that that's there that will dress you anew, that will transform your life. So I just, praying for you. And, you have an open door here in Mayo, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come pray rosary, sit with us. You'll be listened to. Christ doesn't care, and I go back to that experience I go back to that experience in prayer when Christ touches my eyes. Today there are lots of men that are blind. There are lots of lepers. There are blind people in Ireland today. Lepers, blind people, those people that, he did that, and no, we don't want to know anything about this. And Christ wants to get in there and he wants to heal. He wants to give sight. Look, you can see your problems a different way. See the world a different way. See me a different way. Let me give you sight so that you can see the light. And there's a spiritual light that Christ will give when he heals your sight. And he allows you to see your defects, and he allows you to see your problems in a different way, and he allows you to walk forward in a different way. And that's what he wants to do. And I'm convinced of this because so many men that I know, so many people that I know, and this is starting in Derry and it's going everywhere, but we're being transformed for some mission, for some reason. This is for, I don't know what's happening. It's not just me. There are other men around Ireland. They're all seeing. So, you reach out. There's a large network now. The church is being transformed. Christ is transforming his church, and he wants to heal. He wants to get in there and heal. And if we step, all we need to do is step aside and bring people to Christ in the Eucharist. You don't need to pay a penny. You don't need, Christ's love is freely given. So go to him. If you go to Christ in the Eucharist, he transforms. That's just the way it is. So, it's anyway, this is my meditation. When you come back from Derry, your mind is just racing 1,000 miles. That place, Long Tower, does things to you. It just, and I suppose for some reason I needed to be in Derry today. But I just wanted to give this message of hope. Christ will dress you anew. Remember, Luke chapter 15, verse 22. But the father said to his slaves, quickly bring out the robe, the best one. Christ only wants the best for us. He only wants the best for us. And that's a very, very important message to get out there. Anyway, God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.